Let me get off of mute here. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm R. Payne, and we're going to talk about Russell Wilson a little bit and his and why he has, I guess, garnered so much angst. In the I guess in the diaspora. Some from the women who love him, like the perfect stepdad, and some of the men who can't stand him because he actually married a woman with a baby and he's rich. I got to be more than that. So I just wanted to kind of chop it up a little bit, but I wanted to take a little bit different angle on him because we have this interview that he did with Brandon Marshall, and that interview was pretty informative, I think, about the man and how he thinks and how he got here in terms of being a stepfather and his relationship with Ciara and how he met her and some of those kind of things. And then whoever comes up here, we can sit up and we can talk about what he said in this interview. But, so I just want to kind of start out by saying to everybody, good evening. Hopefully folks will come up on the panel when we get there. I want to wait till some people come in the chat, but let me just go ahead and get started. How did we get here? I mean, how did we get to this place when it comes to stepdads? I mean, on two sides, there's two sides, two coins here, right? The women of today, they pretty much don't respect Black men at all. And that goes for stepdads. The women feel entitled. They never really a lot of them don't really say what they're going to do for the men in their lives. They only just want to receive. What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? And so when a woman has children by one or more or several different men, they still feel entitled that the guy who comes into their life must be doing more than what they're willing to do for him. And I wonder how we got here, because I don't think that's the way it used to be in the past. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the dudes who see men who are stepfathers, who are men who volunteer to be stepfathers, it seems like the guys who are not married hold them in some kind of contempt. It's like a lot of men hold Russell Wilson in contempt. Like, why did you marry a woman who has a baby by a dude like Future? And I don't agree with either one of those perspectives. The women should be more appreciative if a man comes into their life to take care of their children and to take care of their load off their shoulders. I mean, we listen to a sister like Take Heed to the Message, and she exalts and she extols the virtue of her man all the time. She does all the time. We need more women to do that. Hey, Take Heed, how you doing? We need more women to do that. Where's the panel of women who have nothing else to say but how great their men are? Where's those panels? All I hear is, give me this, give me $30 for a goddamn, so cash at me first before we have a lunch. Crazy shit like that. The sprinkle lady. They had the chick who they had to take off the internet because she was espousing, exterminating Black boys in the womb and stuff like that. So if you're a stepfather, you can't expect to get better treatment today. And then you got the men on the other side, right, who hold stepfathers in contempt as if, they committed some kind of crime, right? It's like this. I guess listen, when a guy becomes a stepdad, the rest of the men say, why are you saving these 304s? And if you're saving the 304s, then you're against us because we want the 304s to rot in hell. Right? I mean, that's, how do we get here? And is that the way it's supposed to be? Now, when we look at Russell Wilson and Ciara, right, they don't live in the same world we live in. Maybe it's a good example for us to talk about because they're in the spotlight, but they don't live in the same world. He's a stepfather, but Ciara wasn't a desperate woman. She just made bad choices with Future. And that in that sense, she's just like any other woman in any other class category. They make bad choices. So she made a bad choice having a baby from a guy who already had 5 baby mamas at the time. He has 8 now, by the way. He has 8 baby mamas. He's not married to any of them. I would imagine since he got money, he's taking care of them financially. But is that all it is? like Nick Cannon, he could take care of. He's paying $3 million worth of child support a year. So none of these women have men in their lives that we know of that are becoming stepfathers to their kids, right? They all are just out there on the island waiting for Future to do his rotation or Nick Cannon to do his rotation. That doesn't sound too promising to me either. So I'd like to take you back for a little while. Okay, back in the day which is a lot of misrepresentation of how relationships were back in the baby boomer time, or back in the silent generation, back even in the greatest generation. My paternal grandfather was a stepdad. My grandmother had a kid when she was like 13 or 14 years old in the early 1900s. And I didn't know that my oldest uncle wasn't my grandfather's real son until I was a teenager, because all his 6 and 7 other siblings, they treated him just like the big brother he was. Matter of fact, my grandfather adopted him, so his last name was Payne. So I didn't know that until later on. So there was a stepdad, and let me tell you this: my grandmother respected my grandfather. She respected the hell out of him, right? And so her kids got married, and my aunts and uncles, and I've been through so many death do you part relationships, right? So when I hear the women of today who are less than 40 years old saying the women only stay with their men because they had to, I mean, that's a lie. It's an absolute lie. It's a misrepresentation of the past. And so many people younger than 30, younger than 40, younger than 50 say that to perpetuate the lie. And it's like an excuse for their behavior of today. And that's what it sounds like, because certainly my life isn't like that. Me and my wife, we want to be till death do we part. And I'm from the baby boomer generation. And all my cousins, the same way. I've been to a whole lot of crying funerals where one spouse died and the other spouse left soon after. So this whole notion that the only reason why men and women were together in the past is because they had the trauma bond is just absolute bullshit. It's bullshit, and it's propaganda, and it's unfortunate so many Black people take to it. We all come, if you're Black in America, we all have some kind of blended family. Just look back into your aunts and uncles, your grandfathers, grandmothers. My grandfather on my mother's side had 3 wives. And it's not at the same time, of course, but he had 3 wives, and each one of them had children, and he had grandchildren. He left us all inheritances, all of us. So I don't know. And matter of fact, my grandmother, maternal grandmother, passed away when my mother was born in the hospital. So the only grandmother I knew on that side was my step grandmother. So I think we're too hard on the way we blend families. Now, if you ask me if there's a single man looking to start a family, I'm never going to tell him, never advise him to find a woman with a kid to marry. Find somebody who is childless if you can, and start your own legacy. I mean, that just makes sense. Who wants to start a relationship, with trauma, with a baggage, with things of that nature? But if he chooses to do that, that's his choice. And he's going to have to understand that there's consequences that come along with that. So, and the sacrifices is his to make, right? So we need to have more understanding of the situation. Now, I'm going to get to Russell Wilson in a second. But listen, I just want to say that the sense of entitlement has to go away. If you're a woman and you have children and a man comes in and he wants to be a stepfather, you got to treat that guy with some kind of reverence, especially if he's a good guy. That's all I'm saying. Some kind of reverence. So I just saw this show. I think it's Tonight's Conversation. And a woman stood up and said she had 7 children. And she's on Tonight's Conversation looking for a stepdaddy. A stepdad. She got 7 children. And the lady kind of gave us some advice. Hey, get back with the father of those kids, because what you want from a guy is just not really probable for you to find. She didn't say that, but that's what she meant. And the chick didn't even want to hear it. She thinks she's gonna get a guy who's gonna come in and save her with 7 kids. How could that possibly? I mean, it's so improbable. She'll get a guy, and if she found a man willing to come into our house with 7 kids, she should be afraid of that guy. Not afraid for herself, but afraid for her children. Because it's no way that a guy who's upper class, not upper class, but a guy on the grind, a successful man, is going to take on that baggage. Like he says, out of all the women I could have, I want to find a woman with 7 kids. I mean, it's absurd to even think about. So anyway, so that brings me to Russell Wilson. I say, Russell Wilson, his orbit was big enough to absorb Ciara and her kid, right? I mean, if you think about where he's at, he wanted Ciara so bad. He didn't care that she had a son. But her kid was like less than 2 years old when they got married. In fact, I think Future Junior is probably closer to Russell than he'd ever be to his biological father. I don't see. I've never seen a picture with Future and his father in the same picture. I mean, I'm not looking for it. I'm sure there's a picture somewhere, but I've never seen it. Has any? If y'all seen it, let me know. So everybody. I think men don't like Russell Wilson because they think he's a simp, right? He simps for Ciara. He allows her to walk around half naked and things of that nature, but that's his price to pay. I'll submit to you that every man that I know who's married, every single man that I know who's married simps for his wife in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Every man I know simps for his wife in some way, shape, form, or fashion. That's the price you pay to be married to the woman you love. And I'd like to see somebody come up here and refute that they don't simp for their wife in some way. In some way. Of course you do. You have to. I call it a maintenance fee. My fee is going to be different than yours. Your fee is going to be different than Russell Wilson's. I saw this movie called Mea Culpa, and I saw it so you don't have to. It's this Tyler Perry movie. And what's her name? Kelly Rowland is the lead actress. And she does a love scene in the movie, right? And, the guys, it's a simulated love scene, but her legs are spread open. He's humping her, he's tongue kissing her down. And the first thing I thought of, I said, isn't she a married woman? She's a married woman with 2 kids. So her husband had to know that she was going to do a sex scene in a flick that everybody's going to see. And before y'all say that it's just acting, it's bullshit. They're touching. My man's Johnson is rubbing against her thing, right? So she's feeling it, whether it's penetration or not. They're kissing. So that's the fee that her husband is willing to pay to let her to be an actress. And so I looked down, I lost a little respect for her because in order for her to get on the big screen, she allowed herself to be compromised. And then her husband allowed it. That's his maintenance fee. That's his price to pay. I wouldn't pay that price. I wouldn't. If I wouldn't marry but I wouldn't marry an actress. So every man has to determine what kind of price, how he's going to simp for his wife, and it's never one size fits all. So Russell simps for Ciara. He tells her you can go out butt naked from time to time, and you know what? As long as I'm the only guy getting the cheeks, okay, we'll compromise. I saw her in that naked dress. I didn't see no other man touching her. I didn't see her hugging up against a guy like Kiki Palmer rubbing her ass on Usher. I didn't see her doing that. So Russ probably looks at her. Maybe he's like an exhibitionist. He said, yeah, tonight when I get home, you keeping that dress on while I rip it up, and we chop that shit up. Who knows what kind of shit they're into. All I do know is that she kind of likes him. She has 3 kids by the dude. He said they're going to have another one. So that's his price to pay. I don't hold that against him as a man. I'm not in his head like that. I don't care what he does with his wife, just like nobody has a right to give a shit what I do with mine or what Kelly Rowland's husband let her do on this big screen. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't allow my wife to do it. And I'm using the word allow. Yeah, she could do it, but she can't have me at the same time. So that's just the way it is. It's a price we pay. So this, I think women who extol, who look at Russell Wilson, look at him as like the savior kind of guy. You ain't getting that. You are not. You very few women are going to get that kind of guy coming with a lot of baggage, one or two more kids. That's rare, rare. And then guys, Ciara is rare too, right? She's a woman who had a kid, and she didn't need a man. She didn't need Russell Wilson to come in to save her. She's rich. Whether she got married or not, little Future was going to have a great life, better than 99% of the boys out there, right? And they both come from two-parent households, I believe. And, so they got not a unique, but they got a marriage that's in the spotlight. But Russell Wilson has this interview that he does with Brandon Marshall on I Am Athlete. And it gives you a little bit more insight of where he comes from. So anybody who's in the audience, because I'm not looking at the chat, we're going to play the first clip of that interview and get the ball rolling. So you could hear Russell Wilson saying, well, how he looked for Ciara, and then all the rest of that. Go ahead. Thank you, Black David.
Things like, man, I want to make a play for that guy. You seen it this year with Cortland. Mm-hmm. You seen it this year with Cortland. No, but let's move on real quick. I want to hit two things before we land the plane. Ciara, mm-hmm. How you knew she was the one, bro?
Man, I think there's a few things. Number one is, I'm single sitting there and I'm like,
and you winning when you losing.
Yeah.
We said that 1 in 5. You better be good. I'm good. I got 4 babies walking around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's been amazing. I think I never forget. Right before I met C, I wrote out my 5 non-negotiables. I think in any business deal, right? Like marriage is.
It's a partnership.
You got to realize it's a partnership. It's a business deal. Not to be cold, but it's a partnership. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together. We're going to spend this. We're going to do this together. We're going to do this together. We're going to have these kids together. We're going to raise these children together. Like we're going to make decisions together. Like so, it's a partnership. And so, in any partnership, you got to have your non-negotiables. So I started writing those out. I was like, man, I'm going to write my 5 non-negotiables. 5 is the number of grace. So I said, I'm going to write these numbers, this out. And so I said the first one was number one is I wanted a woman of faith, right? Somebody who was equally yoked and somebody who believed in Jesus and everything else the same way. Number 2 is I wanted a woman who was faithful, not just to me, but also faithful to everything that she's doing, like to her friends, to her job, occupation. A woman who was faithful. Number 3 is I wanted a woman who was independent, had her own identity. It wasn't, I was Russell's wife or this or that. Like they had their own identity, they had their own dreams. It could be a nurse, it could be to a teacher, it could be to anybody, but obviously see on stage doing a 1-2 step and leveling up and everything else. But it didn't have to be that, but it was just somebody who had their own identity, who wanted to be volunteer work, whatever it is. Like they wanted to have something they're dedicated to. Number 4 was I wanted a woman that was going to love me the way my mom loved my dad on his deathbed when he was at his lowest. My dad used to always say, son, your mom's going to be able to take care of you. And the 5th thing is I wanted a woman who would tilt the room. When she walks in the room, all the furniture would slide her way. Mm. And because of who she is and the woman she is. And so I prayed about that. I remember, Judah, me and Judah, we went to church and I prayed about that, wrote it out. I wrote actually out on a napkin at dinner as we were sitting there eating a steak dinner. I wrote it out on a napkin and we prayed over it. 3 days later, I meet C. Mm. And when I walked in the room and I saw, little Future, he's 9 months at the time or whatever, and he crawls in my lap and it was like, this is going to be my responsibility. God, I remember leaving that night and God saying, God saying to me, raising this child is going to be your responsibility. Mm. And realizing that, I pray that God, are you sure this is what you want me to do? Say, son, this is for you.
The first night?
Yeah, the first night. Mm-hmm. It's going to be your responsibility. And
you can stop it there, Black.
love, like the love
Right,
of
right there.
the children, as you know.
Yeah, you can hold it right there. So listen, I don't know if anybody wants to come up now and just chop it up and we can play the rest of it. But I see some people in the chat. But anyway, well, let's go over his 5 things, okay? And whoever comes up is great. First, he said he wanted a woman of faith, okay? I'm hard pressed, maybe Ciara has faith, but I'm hard pressed to say a woman is of that much Christian faith if you have a baby out of wedlock. Right? I mean, you marry before you carry is part of the Christian doctrine. It doesn't happen that much anymore. So she had to show some other Christian stuff, I guess. But he didn't know that. He was more enamored by some other things. So, yeah, okay, let's give that a pass, kind of. That's his cross to bear, I would say. She's faithful to her craft. I can give her that. She's independent. Those are the kind of things that I can see that they have that kind of partnership going. She's rich and he's rich. There's got to be some kind of business arrangement to their marriage. It's a lot. He didn't say it here, but they don't have a prenup. He got married because he said we decided not to have a prenup. It's more like she probably told him, I'm not going to have one. And then when we get down to the point where, the 4th thing, I agree with him. They were kind of like equally yoked and things of that nature. But the last one is that she tilted the room. That he wanted a woman that tilted the room. Don't we all? But for him, her tilting the room means that he was going to accept her no matter what kind of baggage she had. Future was a small price to pay for him to have her. That's what that sounds like to me. And for him saying that, that's a whole lot different than the average dude saying it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have, so he's just like the average dude who marries a woman with kids, says that woman really tilts the room for him and he's willing to take on her burdens and make them his. But was Future really that big of a burden to him? I don't think so. And plus, he was less than 2 years old. Russell Wilson's pretty much the only father he knows. So I think he takes a little bit more of a bad rap than he needs to by marrying Ciara. I mean, he could have done worse. And the kind of guy he is, I've seen this whole interview a couple of times. He's not a bad guy. So what? He's a stepdad. He's not a bad guy. Anyway, hey, Trey, how you doing, man?
What's good with you?
All right. So I saw you say a couple of things in the chat. You got anything so far? Well, no way. Let me rephrase that. What you got so far, man? What you got?
Honestly, I don't have much. I mean, the man, listen, his conversation with God is between him and God. Right. And if that's what happened, if that's the conversation that he had with God, and God told him that that's what he should be doing, that's between him and God. Who am I? Who am I to speak on that? If that's what he wants to do, that's the type of man he wants to be. I never understand where all the Russell Wilson hatred comes from. The man's never done anything to anybody. I don't have a negative thing to say about the man. And I don't understand why so many people are so enamored with the decisions that he makes in his life. If he felt like God told him to take care of this young child, what's wrong with the boy having two men who care about him?
Nothing.
Right, whether it be his actual dad, Future, and Russell. To me, it sounds like young Future's winning twice.
He's winning 3 times because his wife, his mother didn't need anybody either.
Right. So I mean, we look at a lot of these kids, and they're in worse situations where they have no males at all. This young fella's got his dad, who's a worldwide recording artist, and his stepdad, who's a sure to be Hall of Fame football player. I mean, absolutely. I mean, he couldn't be in a better position, and a mom who's a worldwide recording artist. Absolutely. I don't understand where all the Russell Wilson hatred comes from. He's got one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. It seems to be that he treats her well. They seem to be fine. Yes. Can we question some of her decisions with her appearance, or maybe some of the things she says? Yes, we can. But I think we can do that with anybody's wife, right?
That's right.
So there's not going to be a whole lot of Savannah James. Yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot of Derek Jeter's wife and a bunch of these women who are all with Pauletta Washington's, right? Who are always top tier all the time. That's an impossible standard. You know what I mean? For a lot of women. But as far as I see, they seem to have a decent marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Take Heed, how you doing, man? I'm not man. I'm sorry. Hey, how you doing, Take Heed?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
All right. How you doing? What you got? What you got on this?
So, my problem is not with Russell either. You know, Russell is a godsend for Ciara.
Yes, I agree. I was going to
But
get to that. Go ahead.
but my problem is that the lack of respect she shows this man. I just don't like that part. And she's not alone. There's a lot of melanated women who had more than one child when they walked into their marriage, and they have this mindset where, well, he knew my situation when he met me, so it is what it is. And I have a problem with sisters like that, because it is not what it is. Because he chose you, he took you as his wife, and when your baby daddy didn't even want to wife you in the first place, you know what I'm saying? You were for uh you were for just play. And so
Yep.
this man decided to get on one knee, give you this ring, give you his last name, okay? And decided to love your children as his own. I think he should have more respect than anybody in the world. I think that when he tapped you on the shoulder, act like you understand the assignment. I think when he is at work doing 12, 14 hours, a full course meal should be ready. I believe the house should be clean. And this is
Mhm.
normal work for a wife. I believe that he should be taken care of, because he took the time to show you mercy. And when people get upset, people get upset with me when I say he showed you mercy. He did, because he did not have to marry you. And yes, he understood your situation. He walked in your situation. But this man showed you mercy and kindness. And for some women, melanated sisters, I'm looking at you. For some women, that when a man does this, they like, well, it is what it is. No, heifer, it ain't is what it is. It's not. It's not, because he did not have to be bothered with you. He loved you and wanted to be with you when nobody else wanted you. But you will quickly say to him, oh, well, my baby daddy was here first. Bitch, nobody care if your baby daddy was here first. I don't care. He didn't wife you. He fucked you and left you with children.
Right.
So I
Well,
have a problem with that.
yeah. You know what? It's funny that you said this, because I think we're in lockstep. I was going to say this, and you beat me to it. I was going to say, listen, Russell Wilson, a lot of guys say to men when they marry beautiful women, how lucky you are that you have her. I said, in this case, she's real lucky to have a guy like Russell Wilson.
Hands down.
She is really, really blessed. No, forget about luck. She's blessed to have a guy like that. I listened to this guy and I seen him. We all talked about him, and he's maybe corny, but I could think I could have a beer with this dude. I think I'm old enough to be his father. I'd be hard pressed to think I could get a better son than that. I mean, I'm not just because he's a football player. He's well rounded. And I listened to the whole interview, and so okay, he's not a thug kind of guy. Well, that's great. He has 2-parent household, just like Ciara. And like he said, God might have gave him that feeling. Well, that's the feeling he got when he saw her and the kids. So that, like Trey said, I'm not going to dispute that. That's his thing. And if we listen to a little bit more of the interview, he said, I don't know if you listened to the whole thing, either one of you, since
No.
on the Ciara part. He says a few other things on fatherhood in general from his perspective, some things on leadership, some things on how to look at the stepson in reference to his other kids. And I didn't see anything wrong with what he said. I think, his head was just on straight. And if you're thinking about that, Black David, can you play that second clip? And you guys don't have to go down, but just can you play that second clip if you know where it starts at 50, 57 minutes. If he's out there.
Black David.
Yeah,
Wake up, Black David.
57. Yeah, start at 57. Yeah. As close as you can get. That's cool. That's good.
Got 4 babies right now. Might be done. Might be done. What's the best piece of advice you can give us men out there on parenting? Not parenting, on being a father, right? And then also being specific. You said it, at 9 months you're holding him and you're like, yo, God gave you that vision. Like, yo, this is going to be your responsibility. So, like, is there a difference from, how you approach being a father, stepfather? You understand?
No. I think that when you're raising children, right, and you're married and everything else and loving, it's like you got to love every single child as if they're yours, right? That's been the greatest gift of raising Future and Sienna and Wynn and now Mora, in 2 months. It's like, man, God gave me that opportunity to raise them and to love them and to care for them and teach them and to love them as every day, that way. And there's no difference. There's no difference in it. I think to me, it's the greatest gift, and knowing that that's the responsibility to raise these 4 beautiful children all together in this. And we all come from blended families. A lot of times, we all come from different this and that. But it's to be able to be one, and that's been the best part of raising these kids with C and everything else, and just see when I don't know if he's gonna be Floyd.
That's good. That's good. See, I agree with that piece right there. If you're going to take on that role and be serious about being a stepdaughter for 1 or more kids and you have some more of your own, if they're in your household, you got to try your hardest not to make distinction. You really do. And go ahead. Somebody
Sorry, that's true. You are correct, and he is correct as well. It is very difficult to make. It is very difficult to even want to do that, and for him to have the mind and heart to accept this young boy, and at the same time, the father can't stand him, and at the same time, the father is doing diss tracks at him. And this is the same man who is raising his offspring to become a titan, when the father should be saying thank you and I appreciate you. It shouldn't be all this animosity because you mad with this man when you had the opportunity to marry this woman and raise this son in your own household, but you did not take that opportunity. So I'm not mad with Russell. Far from it. I don't even think he is simp in the first place.
Yeah, I use that term, but I can put it in context. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think he is simp, but because if I say he is simp, then my husband is a simp. Because my husband married me, and I was a baby mama, and I always tell people on my channel that I was a baby mama up the street, down the lane. You know what I'm saying? And he found me, so I can't just be like, oh. Because I wanted to go in on Russell this morning. And when I posted something, my king was like, did you see what you post? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you read it? I'm like, yeah, I read it. Like, he about to go in on me. And I'm like, yeah, I read it. He's like, okay, since you said that, let me share something with you. He said, I talked to God about you, and God told me to marry you. I talked to God about you. He told me to marry you, that you was my wife. So you trying to say that does not exist, and we've been married close to 16 years and we still love each other? So what? I don't understand that. So then he calls me by my real name. This one, he mad because he and I said to him, he said, you better retract your statement, delete that thing. So I had deleted it. And he said, you can't get mad at this brother because he said God told him. Either God told him or God did not tell him. He's raising that boy as his own.
Right.
And he loves that child. And I
Yes,
said,
no
"You
doubt
right."
about that.
You know
No
what I'm
doubt.
saying? And my king said, you gonna go talk your show. You gonna tell your story, because our story was not rosy and petals and everything. And the blessing with Ciara and Russell's story is that this boy was 9 months.
That's right.
That's the blessing, because now the boy will be able to determine when future do come around. He gonna say, I love you, I respect you as being my father. But Russell was the one who was there. He was the one who took time with me, spent time with me. You know what I'm saying? He's able to say his piece. Okay. So my situation was, my son was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? When I met my husband. And so it was very hard. And my husband didn't come in like bulldoze everything. He talked to my eldest son like, you know, a young man, showed them respect and everything. But my son had his father whispering in his ear. And so that was like Clash of the Titans, because my husband had put his ground rules down, like he can't come inside my home.
Right.
Come see his son. I have no problem with that. But he can't be in my home. If I'm not here, he can't be in my home. Even when I'm home, he can't be here. I don't want y'all on the phone late at night talking about your son. Why y'all on the phone late at night? Which I never done those things anyway, but he had put those things into the stipulations. You know what I'm saying? Because I always tell people, if you have a baby father, there should be boundaries. There should be boundaries, because you don't want a situation where you come home from work, 12-hour shift, this Negro sitting on your couch.
Eating fried chicken.
Eating some, you know what I'm saying? Oh, she cooking and he eating. And then she tell you, well, that's my baby daddy. He was here first. And the first thing, if I was a man and if she said some nonsense like that, I would have said, well, why he ain't marry you then?
Exactly.
Why he ain't marry you? Because I pay every bill in this house and I take care of every child in this house. Why he didn't marry you? So my situation was different, but I will share this with you and I will sing this to the heavens. I always say I thank God for my husband, because he saved me when nobody else wanted to. And I'm not saying that I was a boogaboo when he met me. I was young. And I had a beautiful shape. But the thing is that I needed a lot of training. You know what I'm saying? I was a nice woman. I was kind, like my husband said. He said, but your mouth, you didn't know how to talk to nobody. Like your mouth, and you thought it was okay to talk like that. And I said to him, I'm gonna share something with you. I still talk like that. But I don't talk to my husband like that. You will hear my voice change real quick. If you ever watch my show, if I'm talking to my husband, my voice change, honey.
Yeah. That's cool.
I'm done.
All right, Trey, you got anything on this segment, Trey?
Yeah, you know, I see why the women were saying Ciara's prayer. This dude is a diamond. I mean, he really is. He's a diamond out here, and I understand. I get it now. I never really listened to him talk. And I watched him play football. I try not to get involved in these entertainers' lives, because a lot of their life isn't real, and what they portray to us is not what's actually happening behind the scenes. But if I had a daughter, and my daughter had a misstep, and well, I do have a daughter. Let me not say if I had a daughter. If my daughter had a misstep in life, and she had a child, and she was single, I'd want her to meet a Russell Wilson type. This is the guy I would want her to meet. This is the type of guy I would want her to be with after her misstep in life. I see why these women were saying this prayer and hoping to get a Russell Wilson. It's a good dude. I mean, from what I can tell, this is a decent man. He's good looking dude. He's successful. He plays football. He makes a ton of money. I think he's getting paid $40 million a year. Yeah. He's making a ton of money, and he's got ties to his faith. He seems like he has morals and values. He has standards. What I get irritated with is when people can't separate the entertainment from real life. We have no idea the conversation between Russell and Future. We have no idea. I have no idea whether or not they sat down and had a conversation about this. Future could have told him, hey, look, man, I'm an entertainer. I'm going to put some diss tracks out on you. I'm gonna say a few things,
Maybe.
but this is just to get to the money. It'll keep eyes on. Remember, they are entertainers, and the way they make money is to keep eyeballs on them, right? I have no idea. We have no idea. You know, and the idea of, and I'll use Whitney Houston as an example. For years and years, we thought Bobby Brown was her pusher.
That's right.
We thought Bobby Brown was the one that was getting her drug. Come to find out, it was her brothers who were doing it.
Yeah.
It was her brother. So we have no idea what's actually going on. I have a firm belief that Ciara was probably a little bit lost when she was dealing with Future.
Yes.
I think she was a lost girl. She didn't know exactly what she wanted. She was attracted to Future. Maybe she could have been the main chick, or maybe she was number two, and she didn't really know what she wanted. And then suddenly, after she got pregnant, she realized this is not the life I want to live. Maybe she changed her life and she decided this is the type of man I want. And lo and behold, God sent her Russell Wilson.
Yeah, man.
Now, I don't know how that works. I don't know what special prayer she said. I heard there's a prayer out there. I'm not sure what she did and how it worked. But I know there are a lot of women who are trying to replicate what Ciara has done. And I can understand why. I can see by listening to this man talk. He is not misstepping. He's not stuttering over his words. He's saying, listen, this is how you father. And this is how you do it. I get it. It makes sense. And we can judge from hell to high water. We can judge all day. But at the end of the day, they, to me, seem like they have a decent family unit, even though Future has a questionable past, a questionable lifestyle.
He's up to 8 baby dad. He's up to 8 baby mamas now.
Okay. And we can go in on Ciara all day. But for my daughter, if my daughter were in Ciara's position, I would hope that she would meet the man of a caliber of Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so would I.
You know what I wanted to say real quick, I'm sorry, guys, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna drop down.
You can stay up if you want to.
So I wanted to say this real quick. Everybody is saying that they want to do the Ciara prayer, right?
Okay.
But Ciara prayer would not have worked if God did not talk to Russell. Nobody is talking about that part because he said God talked to him. So if God doesn't talk to the man that you want, okay, you ain't getting him. You ain't getting him. That's the truth. If God don't put in his heart to be with you, to show you grace and mercy, you ain't getting a Russell Wilson. That's the truth.
Yep. I'm with you. And listen, when I use that term simp, I meant it in the context that when you're, in the context of a man being married to a woman, there's very few things that we don't do for our wives, especially if they're within reason and within the plan. And every man is different, but every man pays that price for the woman they love, so, and one size doesn't fit all. Like let's just take the dress, for example. That dress, she was bare naked. I would never allow my wife to do that. But somehow Russell seems to be okay with it, at least on the surface, because he knows his wife likes attention. But as long as she comes home to him, maybe that's cool. Maybe that's good enough. She don't do it every day. I can't even see my wife doing it once.
But Payne, that's the business they're in, though. You cannot be in the entertainment business and not want attention. That's not how it works.
No, but what I'm saying is that, you don't have to have that kind of dress on either.
Says who?
Amen.
Says who? Hold on. Says who?
No.
Who comes up?
No.
This is my issue. My
issue
is who makes these rules that say that a woman can't wear a dress that's revealing and provocative? Because let me tell you what actually happened. She wore the dress and everybody was talking about it. Sounds like she won.
I do.
Sounds like she did exactly what she came to accomplish.
Yeah, but you're missing my point. I'm not.
I got your point.
Yeah. So my point is that she wants the attention, but that's the price that he knows he has to pay to be with a woman like that, and it's okay with him.
How do you know that's a price that he's willing to pay? Like, because I'm saying, you're putting something on him that he may not even be putting on himself. You're saying,
okay, yeah, I
my issue is that you cannot tell this man how to run his marriage and his wife.
I'm not trying to run his.
Whether you would do it is irrelevant. It
What
doesn't
would you have
matter.
done, Trey?
Okay, but Trey, how about just
If I marry Ciara and she wanted to wear that dress, we gonna walk down that motherfucking red carpet and we gonna get this money. What you talking about? I married an entertainer. I married an entertainer.
Trey.
I married an entertainer.
Trey,
I didn't marry a receptionist.
Don't do that, Trey. How come
I didn't
entertainers don't do that? Why is she the only? Why is she?
She's not. Hold on. Take heed. J-Lo didn't wear a dress that got popularized.
Yeah, well,
No, nobody.
Janet Jackson didn't do a Super Bowl performance where her nipple was showing. This is what they do.
Was she married then?
Who, J-Lo?
Yep.
But the marriage is irrelevant because the only person who can speak on this is Russell.
So, okay, so can we compromise?
Speak on it is Russell, but if you saying at the same time you did, everybody saying they want a Ciara's prayer. She says she's okay. Check this out. I'm gonna just give this scenario. Even though Ciara is famous like she is, let's just check this out. If the first lady of the church, right? Because this will we have to put it like this. If the first lady of the church is in church on Sunday and she hooping and hollering and she's speaking in tongues, but on Saturday she half naked at the chicken shack, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm asking that question because you can't at one point say that you are of you believe in God Almighty and that you did this special prayer and Russell came. And then in the next breath, you walking around here with your ass and titties out. What are we doing? I'm just saying. I'm saying this something is not right here.
There's nothing. First of all, we have to stop this. That's apple to oranges. Ciara is not the first lady of a church. She's not. So that's a bad example. It's a bad example. She's not the first lady of a church. She's not held to that same standard. She is a worldwide recording artist. That's what she is. She's a singer. She's an entertainer, and she has used her sexuality to garner millions of records sold. That's how it's always been. Nothing has changed. Whether she was Christian before or whether she found her Christianity when she got with Russell, she has always sold sex. That's what she does. So this idea that all of a sudden, now that she's married to Russell Wilson, she's supposed to cover up. Why? Especially if her husband isn't saying cover up. There's no doubt in my mind that before they walked out, before they walked out and got to that car, Russell saw what she was wearing and Russell okayed it. It was fine.
Okay, so let's end it there because I agree with that. And so that's why I said that he didn't have no problem with it. But if I didn't project that on him, obviously he doesn't have a problem with it. So that's why. But you're saying, Trey, it doesn't matter whether he has a problem with it, but I think it does, and I think he doesn't. That's all. But let's move off from that. Hey, Trey Ferg, how you doing, man? Hey, I want to give him a shot. Yeah, go ahead, Trey Ferg. What's up? What do you say, man?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I mean, I agree with Trey in a sense because, we all know what Ciara was doing before she even got with Russell Westbrook. We saw the videos
Russell Wilson.
We saw the videos that she was putting out. He saw the videos that she was putting out. So that sort of drew him to her in a sense because he saw that nice little body that most of us see. Mm-hmm. Now, what I've noticed with her is unless she's in spaces where she's like there's going to be cameras in the limelight, she dressed really modest. When I see them and they show them at games and stuff, she's really fully covered and dressed sort of modest. So I can understand that could be part of her persona and maybe part of her brand to get paid. She probably has contracts where she's going to model certain attire to keep that money rolling in. So I can understand that, but she seems to speak highly of him. She's not on TikTok talking about, well, my husband is trying to push these things on me and this and that. So, and the situation with Future, I think the NFL got to him because that monster is bigger than what people think. If he want to continue his career, he better shut the hell up about Russell Wilson. He has to, because he just shut it down. I think, Russell just put himself in a precarious situation with us because we look at it like it's a bad thing, but she's allowed him to technically raise her son without any limitations. They're not calling Future when the son, if he acts up. Russell's probably the one that, coming with a mindset like, look, don't do this, don't do that. And Russell was raised by two parents, so I don't know, I think as us, shit, who wouldn't date Ciara? Who wouldn't marry her? Most dudes ain't got no money would marry her. She said, I'll marry her. So just the fact that he's in that position and he's a high profile guy, he makes millions of dollars. I think it just comes down to where his heart is because, as long as she submit to his rules and expectations, then it's hard at first, when I first looked at it like, oh man, why he choose her? But then when I saw how she was behaving when they were together and sort of, idolizing him in a sense, and granted, she's even got him doing the videos with her and stuff on TikTok. So I don't know, man. It's just a hard one, It's just two talented people, two people in the limelight that just bringing up these conversations, though. I don't see it in this.
Well, I will say this. I agree with you, sir. And I'm only messing with Trey because I like to bother him. So, so I do agree. I'm happy that they are together. I'm not upset with either one of them. I would just like that dress to not have happened. That's the only thing I would not have liked.
You are alone on that boat by yourself.
I'm just saying.
Because I'm so happy it happened.
So we all somebody got a picture somewhere, man.
That is a gorgeous woman.
I'm not saying that she's not gorgeous. She's beautiful. She looks amazing. There's no hate. I just didn't want to see that dress. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Because they to me, when you look at the marriages of today, you see all types of foolery. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And everybody think that mess is cute. Especially in a melanated community, you never see like long-standing marriages that look beautifully. Everybody got their mind right. If you do see any marriages, they last for 6-7 years, sometimes 1 year. And then the marriage is done because the woman say, I'm no longer happy. Right. Like how you get all the way to 15 years and be like, I want to graduate from my marriage. And always in the melanated community, you don't see strong family values. So when I saw them together and you saw in the beginning how beautiful the marriage was, and then all of a sudden you see her come ass butt naked. And you like, wait a minute, because she said she did the Ciara's prayer. And so now you mad, like what's going on? That's the only thing. But other than that, I'm happy with them. I'm glad they together. I'm glad Russell loved that baby like his own. Like just like he said, I do not discriminate against the children because I love all of them as my own. And I love that about him. And you could tell that baby happy the way he wraps his arms around that man.
All the time.
You know what I'm saying? So
hey, Black David, well, 1 second, take heed. Want to play 58-56? Clip 3?
Greatest gifts to life.
What's the one piece of advice you can give us fathers?
Yeah, I would say, I think a key part of it every day, and we've all been raised differently. I was fortunate to have my dad there every day. Not always physically because he was always working and he had to work 2 jobs at one point. We didn't have enough money. He was trying to get me to go to private school. He had to raise enough money to be able for me to go or to have enough money and we didn't have hot water a lot of times. Maybe no water at all. So like my dad was working 2 jobs at one point. I remember somebody coming up to my dad and like, I saw your dad working at the gas station. I was like, no, he's my dad. It's like my dad was he was doing this FBI investigation. He was doing something. He ain't working. I came home. I said, Dad, you working at the gas station? He said, son, I got to pay for your school. Got to pay for the baseball bats and the gloves and the football. He would do whatever it took. And so, to me, I think fatherhood is a direct reflection of what God has done for us. It's unconditional love, to be able to love us in the midst of it all, to be able to be there for us, to be able to provide, to be able to care for us, to be able to show up every day. Not just.
That's right. To be able to show up every day. I thought that was one of the key things he said there, you know?
That's beautiful. Mm.
That's what,
Oh, Ciara hit it out the park with this one, boy. I tell you, good gracious.
you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm telling you, man. You know, when I saw this interview and it was funny because I was saying, what the hell I'm going to say this Monday? And I said, you know, this is, you know, everybody's been talking for years about Russell Wilson being this kind of man and the stepdad and all that kind of stuff. And then I saw this interview. I said, man, this is a good way to look at it from inside out for a change, instead of people just, he's giving us insight to how he thinks. And I think this is this is good for everybody to see. If it changes your mind or not, that's another story. But it's just good to see a young guy, man, 35 years old, talking the way he's talking. It helps that he's a multi-billionaire, I'm sure, but still.
Hey, Payne, I say this real quick because I'm getting ready to leave. But
all right, sir, go ahead.
I have a completely different view of this man now. I mean, a completely different view of him. There's no doubt in my mind that he is leading this household. And then everything that's happened that we think is happening, there's no, I don't see what other people are seeing. I see a man that is firmly in control and is making decisions of his household and running his household the way he sees fit. And I think he's giving a little leverage. He's being a little lenient because he knows what he married into. I think he understands that there is an entertainment sort of actuality within his marriage, and he's okay with that. He's fine with that.
Right.
But I don't see a simp, and I don't see a beta. I don't see a weak man here. That's not the energy he's giving me. He's giving me a man that says, listen, I make the decisions, but I don't have to be boastful about it. And I ain't got to go run and go tell everybody, I'm in charge. I see him as a man who's saying, no, I make the decisions and we keep it moving. I have other things I have to focus on. Right? He is a quarterback. Let's not forget, it's the most difficult position in sports. So he's a quarterback. He's got a lot of studying he has to do week in and week out. So, but I think that those kids, man, those kids are in a good position, especially Future. I think he benefits the most. And so, you know, good, Ciara, I see why. It makes perfect sense now. I get it. You better keep having them babies. I get it, because it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he wants to have a fifth one. You're going to miss that when you drop down.
Keep having that man, baby. To me, he's one of those guys that you grew up with, Trey Ferg, you grew up with, and he couldn't do no wrong, and you hate him like, damn, this motherfucker don't never make a mistake. Make a mistake. Do something wrong. Anything. He's just a genuinely good dude with a good heart that seemed to be raised the proper way by a hardworking father that was willing to sacrifice. How can you be upset or hate on that?
No, and I'm gonna share something with y'all too, real quick. I'm about to go because my king just came downstairs.
Okay.
So I just want to say this real quick. My whole perspective of this man changed tonight. And I love what he just said, because it's true. Fatherhood is not just weekends. Fatherhood is not just holidays and spending summer. Fatherhood is being there each and every day for these children. And he's right. And he is a scholar and a gentleman in my eyes. And if anybody call him a simp anymore, I'm going to break them off. Okay? So everybody have a good night. Y'all take it easy.
Good night. All right. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, Trey. Go ahead, man. What's up? What's up, brother?
I mean, you say this guy's in a position most of us wish we were in. Now, Ciara is definitely the lucky one in this situation because,
no doubt,
he got that good hair, and most of them they will be clamoring and fighting and clawing and scratching if they ever split up. It wouldn't be 3 weeks and he would already be posing with some other nice looking chick.
Oh no doubt about that.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We can critique this however you look at it.
Well, I got a couple more clips I'd like to play anyway. The next one is at 102, and it's just 2 more clips, but this short. So Black David 102, that's the next one.
doing my research, I looked in the comments, and one person said, Russell Wilson is the definition of a high value man. You know what I'm saying? What is that? What does that look like?
In terms of marriage, or just in terms of what?
Yeah, like just being a husband, being a man. Like, paint the picture for those guys that never had that picture painted for them.
I think the first thing about marriage is that you have to have enough grace enough for each other, to be able to communicate, to be able to love, to be able to encourage, to also be able to understand your highs and your lows, your flaws, and appreciate that, and knowing that you're still one, you know, you're one. And I think that's a key part to, C and I's is knowing that we're equally yoked. You know, her drive and her passion, just watching her every day and the success. I mean, she's the best person on the planet on the stage, in my opinion. And so watching her and all the things that she does, and the businesswoman she is, she's got her own skincare line called OAM. She's got all this business stuff and then she's still the mom driving the kids to school every single day.
She go harder than you, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I go hard, but she triple time.
Yeah.
But I think the thing about it is that, watching her every day, how she loves, how she forgives, how she cares, how she gives her all every day. No wonder why she's been a success ever since she was, before I ever knew her, she was, one of the largest people on the planet, and so it's just watching her success and her journey, and knowing that she's, still so young and still so vibrant and so energetic, even after 4 kids, and we're going to have a 5th. I'm just telling her, but
there you go. Yeah. So again, so he has a lot of, let's just go ahead and play the last clip after a couple of seconds here, and then you can keep this up, Black David. Then we'll play the last one. So Trey Ferg, I agree with him. Again, I'm in the total agreement with what he said about, the give and takes of marriage, those kind of things. Have to be you've been married for how many years? You said 10 now? 10? Yeah. So mine is this your second wife or something?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. So you had 2 bites at the apple.
Man.
Yeah.
I got lucky to get off them streets.
I hear you. Hey, what's going on, BMU? You have something to throw in there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right, man. I just want to say, it's all lovely to sit up here listening to this young man talk about, how Ciara was this and how she was that, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think that Russell Wilson, at this point, all the women love Russell because Russell is making it okay for you to go out and be a whore and be redeemed by a man. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. Russell Wilson is making it okay because that's what women are thinking. Girl, I can go out and be promiscuous, get all the dick I want, have a baby by any man I want to have a baby by. I can make bad decisions. I can go out because Ciara knew that she was going to be baby mama 11. You knew that you was. What you say? Yeah, but come on now. But she knew that she was going to be baby mama 11. She knew she was dating a man who had 11 kids by 11 different women. She knew it. And she still laid down with the man anyway and got pregnant. So what it is, hey, how about this? Ciara's going to tell the world, you can be redeemed. And this is the same woman that just released a song a year ago telling women to be independent. You don't need no man. And she married to a man making $40 million a year. She still ain't happy. She was telling women, you don't need no man.
Stupid.
You go get your own money. You go get your own bread. You don't need no man. You are independent. That's what she said.
Yes. Baby, you just got friendly pussy.
Oh! If he sneezed wrong, he's fucked forever. If he sneezed wrong, he's fucked forever. And I think that.
Go ahead.
God ain't told Russell Wilson shit. And I'm tired of people lying on my God. God did not speak to Russell and say, hey, my son, it is time for you to be a stepdaddy.
Stupid.
God did not talk to no Russell about being no damn stepdaddy. He did not. You wanted to do that on your own for the aesthetics. You wanted to do that because you knew how the women would melt at the thought of a man making $45 million a year to come along and take care of a baby you had with a hood nigga and that you knew had 10 babies by 10 other women. We come on now. We gotta stop this. We gotta stop this crap. We gotta stop this crap. That's like me coming on the show tomorrow and saying, you know what? God told me the next woman that give a super chat, he told me to get you pregnant so I can be. Somebody talk to me.
Yo, man, listen, BMU. Listen, man. Listen, this is your network, okay? But we had a nice love fest going on, goddammit. And you came over here and told Monkey Richard our love fest. You know, this is our love fest. Listen,
hold on. I know you. Hold on, Payne.
You can stop it.
You on Russell's? You on Russell's side?
No. Listen to what I said. I did mention the fact I did. Well, I was more subtle about it, but I didn't really give Ciara a pass. I said she was blessed to find a guy like Russell Wilson, but I don't think she's sending. So what? The message to all these chicks who are down in the hood that it's possible that you know you can find a guy like, well, it's very improbable, right? These women live in improbabilities, but that doesn't mean we can't say that there's a woman who overcame them. Like, listen, Ciara's not coming from the same place that they're coming from. She might have been ratchet. But she was running in the circles where she could meet a guy like Russ Wilson. These guys ain't these random chicks ain't never gonna meet a guy like him. Never.
You know what? You're right. And you know what? I saw a clip the other day on TikTok. I'm gonna bring it to the show, where the woman stood up and they asked her. She said, "I'm looking for a quality man." This is the bullshit I'm talking about. She said, "I'm looking for a quality man." They said, "Oh, do you have any children?" This 7. Bastard, you got 7 of them.
I saw that one. Yeah,
so you want a quality man to come and take care of you and 7 of your bastard children? What they do that at? So you mean tell me you're gonna find a high value man gonna come in and say, "Hey baby, you know what? I love you. I adore you. You're beautiful. Oh, the sex is amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All of them belong to me. I'm taking care of 7 of them." Even if you're making $125,000 a year, you cannot support those 7 fucking kids by yourself.
Absolutely not. Nope. Listen, I mentioned actually because I guess she was on the road, right? Because I mentioned the fact that this lady was absurd. Because I mentioned the 7, you know, and they were placating her. That's tonight's conversation, that show.
Right. Yeah.
And she had the audacity when the lady says, "Listen, you got to go back to that guy with those 7 kids," and she's shaking her head, "Hell no." You know, so I mean,
right. And that's what I'm saying, Payne. What could that man have done after putting 7 babies in you that all of a sudden now you want to leave?
I have no idea. And they didn't get into that, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Because it took at least 12 years for you to have that many kids.
Exactly. He was just putting one in after the other one. And all of a sudden, after lucky number 7, you want to say, "Oh, he's a bad man. I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to go back to him." Girl, the only man that would genuinely probably want to be with you and marry you is that man that put them 7 seeds up in you. Ain't no man finna come rescue you with no 7 children. Stop it.
Absolutely not. Well, first of all, I don't believe it's all by the same man. I think she's lying. I think I don't even get.
And I'm gonna tell you something else, man.
Go ahead.
If Ciara, I see a Nissa, my sister Nissa in the chat talking about she ain't Ciara. If Ciara didn't have no status and she was working at Home Depot, she would not be with no Russell Wilson. Let's just start there.
Well, that's true. That's what I'm saying. Her status.
Let's start right there. Yeah, she'll be getting pumped into.
She would have 2 or 3 kids by 3 different men by now. You know. Listen.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, it's because of her status she was in those circles, and it was because of her status that Russell took notice. I mean, listen, I can see that's why it doesn't. translate to the regular man and woman, not the woman from the street or the man from the street. It doesn't relate to any of us, but it's a good story to talk and listen to because people tend to project on their relationship. So that's why I thought this would be good for this particular Monday to talk about. Now, I don't want to extol any saintly things on either one of them, but I don't think a lot of people had enough insight to Russell Wilson. Forget about Ciara for a second. To see him talk and explain where he's coming from. Now, we don't have to believe all the shit that he said either, but he ain't stumbling over his words.
Payne, can you tell me where in the Bible? Because I'm a Bible guy. I'm a Bible. I like the Bible. I read it several times.
Okay.
Can you tell me in the Bible where God has ever ordained a man to be a stepdaddy? The only way in the come on now, in the Bible days, those children were known as wretched children who, if they didn't have a father or the mama was promiscuous and she went out and had a baby, those women were shunned upon. Those women were not, they didn't have any value. And the communities and the neighborhoods and all that stuff back in the Bible days, they shunned those women. Those women were known as nothing. Even to this day, if you go to China, those women are known as secondhand women, and nobody is to touch those secondhand women. Okay. So back in the day, they had a structure. So back in Jesus' day, they wouldn't God wouldn't have told nobody to be with Ciara with no baby, because they would have probably stoned her or banned her away from everybody because they didn't want that on everybody else.
Well, so do you have a minute here before you go, Trey? First, do you got another minute? Because I'd like to play the last clip just for you. I'd like you to listen to the last clip if you haven't heard it yet. You know, so Black David, if you could put on 106 and 14. Oh, you should get a click out of this one, BMU.
Lord have mercy.
Everybody on leadership, what would it be?
Good question. To me, it's simple. Love despite even when others don't love you. You know, because to me, you know, you have to be able to love, not just love people, but love the passion of what you're doing every day, even when people make it hard. Loving the process, loving the drive into work, loving, you know, the challenge of marriage, loving the challenge of raising kids, loving the challenge of everybody having a camera and watching you every day, loving the challenge of just uplifting, loving the challenge of overcoming, loving the challenges of that, loving the challenge of just trying to get closer to God and just knowing that, man, God, I'm not perfect, but just loving that challenge in itself, right? Loving the challenge of, man, like at 35 years old, how am I going to be better at 35 than I was at 25? Loving that challenge and that obsession with that. And that's where greatness comes. And so when you can be surrounded around the right people with that and speak life into that and also lead that way and love that way and knowing that my confidence is never going to change. It's never going to.
Oh, that's it, man. Okay, maybe I didn't copy that one. That was it, Black David? I guess so. All right, so BMU, I didn't clip this piece, but there was a piece in there where Russell Wilson compared himself to Joseph. He said Joseph was a stepdad.
Here, no, don't see that. That's that bullshit.
He said Joseph was a stepdad.
That's that bullshit. No, you can't. You can't compare. You can't compare.
I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
You cannot compare immaculate conception to stepdaddyism. The angel.
Well,
see, the angel came. Huh? Angel came and told him. They said, "Hey, Joseph, your wife is gonna be with a child, but it's the Lord's. It's God's child. It's the Son of Man, who is the Lamb of God." That's what he told him. He didn't say Mary gonna go out and he didn't say Mary was gonna go out and fuck Bartholomew, get pregnant, and he got to raise the child.
What you say?
And listen, you know, all I'm just trying to say is he committed something. He said Joseph was a stepdad. It don't matter how she got pregnant, right? He still had to be stepdad for 33 years.
See how Russell tried to justify it with that bullshit. See that they need me to interview. They need me to interview his ass. I interview his ass.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's put that aside for a second. Okay, so
Okay.
what's your real angst with Russell Wilson? That he accepted Ciara and her kid?
No, my real answer with him is I'm telling you, I told you earlier, what he's doing is he's making, listen, when you make a decision, you know what I heard Robert Townsend say this. Robert Townsend says, you can have freedom of speech in your art, you can have freedom of speech in your life, you can have freedom of speech in anything you want to do. I'm all for it. He said, but are you willing to are you willing to accept the backlash, the pushback, and the hell from the decision that you made in your free speech?
Okay.
And Russell has to understand what, like Megan Thee Stallion said, it's okay to put a dick in the back of your throat and choke on it. It's the same way Beyonce just made a song and said, church girl, said you can suck a dick, ride a dick, fuck a man, throw that ass back, and then go to church right after that and praise God. These are things, that's what I'm saying. These women say, girl, if Beyonce say I can fuck a random and go to church and God still love me, shit, I'm good. You see, so Russell is making it okay. He's making it okay for women to feel, so he's giving women false hope. Because these women out here right now who think they can just go and fuck everybody and get 3 different kids for 4 baby daddies, and they think, they thinking, oh girl, I can't wait till my Russell come, girl. I've been throwing this pussy from the free throw line for 10 years. I got 5 kids and 4 baby daddies. My Russell Wilson is on the way. Hell no, he ain't on the way. It's false advertisement. Just like the preachers are preaching Boaz. Women, get you a Boaz. He was rich and he took care of Ruth. No, Boaz was in love with Ruth's work ethic because she worked with her hands. She worked in the field. She wasn't afraid to do no work. He fell in love with her because of that, not because he wanted to just take care of her and give her all his riches. These hoes out of line, Payne. They're out of line.
Okay, Trey Ferg, what you got to say, man? Go ahead, Trey.
Hey, man. It's hard to come back off that. Now, you know, in a sense, look, we can dissect this 1,000 times and probably come up with 1,000 views. You know, but you know, he's 1 in a million. He's an anomaly. I don't think that you can line 10 professional athletes up and give them this scenario and 10 to take it. I probably think that he would be that one out of those 10 that would look at that and say, okay, I'll buy into it. It's just, but the unfortunate thing, a lot of guys in positions are putting women in these positions. You know, guys that are in the limelight with the money, you know, even those guys that put the women in those positions.
Well, let me ask you this. But do you believe BMU is trying to say that because these guys act like this beacon for men and women who will never be able to live the lifestyle, that they're somehow giving them a license to be idiots? And I don't, how could we put that on these two people, right? They didn't ask for everybody to look at as Ciara's prayer and all that. They're just human, right? So if a woman from the ghetto thinks she's going to be able to find a guy like Russell Wilson, or, she's crazy. But that's no bigger delusion than they're already under.
Yeah, those women, they wouldn't even qualify for a guy like Russell Wilson. I mean, he understood who she was coming into it.
Right.
He's been a fan of her for years, so he understood who she was. And a regular woman just living in the regular neighborhoods, they won't even be seen by these guys. Let me say this. They'll be seen for a good time. They can come in and they're going to get their little hour or two, maybe get a knockoff bag or something. But for the most part, they're just a good time. They're not going to be looked at as wives.
Well, and the reverse is kind of true, too. A regular, let's just say Ciara, who she was, a multimillionaire business owner with a kid. The random dude who's got a 9-to-5 job ain't walking in there and busting those cheeks either. she ain't gonna be. I mean, she's not gonna take. She might be likely to go ahead and, but I don't think she'd be likely to go with a guy like just a regular dude with a degree working in a pharmacy. You know what I'm saying? I think
I agree. They listen. These women know exactly what they're doing. They know how to. They move calculatedly. She chose him. Of course, it wouldn't have been me or somebody over. Like, dude, how much you make?
Future, right? Even Future, as ratchet as he is, right? He's a rapper, but he was rich. He was in those circles. She's in the music business. They both in the music business. Right. So she saw him and she said, "Okay, I want to be baby mama number 7." Right? But she's just like any other woman with stupid choices. That's why we all want to arrange marriages for our daughters, because we know they can't fucking pick guys. You know,
you speak from a unique position.
You got son. Yeah.
No, what I mean is, the position you speak from is that being a father who's in your daughter's life, being in our child's life, you can sort of have an influence on those type of things from an early age.
I hope to, yes.
Unfortunately, a lot of young folk don't get those type of influences until it's too late. They go in slanging and banging. They don't care about, the future of what could possibly happen and the outcomes, the negative outcomes, or the positive outcomes. They're not looking at that. They're looking at a feel-good moment, and it's just unfortunate. Ciara wouldn't have chose a regular guy who's, got a good job working as a plumber, and once she's going after Russell Wilson. Right. They want a LeBron James type because that's what they feel like they're entitled to. It's just unfortunate that if you notice how women, even the women in the entertainment business, they secure everything that most women want. They go out here, they live their lives, then they can get married. But they still are having the same message to the young women. Look, you can do it. I can do it. You can do it, which is the wrong message. It sets the women up.
Okay, but let me ask you this. You think they're purposely sending that message, or that's just the way they live? I mean, remember when Barkley said, I'm not a role model? Just by saying it, he automatically became one. Because if you're in the limelight, whether you want to or not, people are going to look at you, whether you want to be a purposeful role model or not. So, so there's still a sign of the times, just at a higher level. But I got another one for you. Let's just kind of move on. The fact that they don't have a prenup, what do you think about that?
No,
do you think she's setting them up? Pop another kid out, and then 3 or 4 years from now, the dot magnets will come on. She said, "You know what, Russ? It's been a nice ride, but it's time for me to leave."
But did he adopt her child?
No. Well, no, but they got 4. They're gonna have 4 at their home.
So even with that, then if at any point she decides to start her new career after his football career, because they're gonna be together as long as he bringing in that $100 million. They together. I ain't even gonna see them.
But he's got to find another job. They just me and you in the sports show. They just cut him. They're gonna cut him from the Broncos,
which is fine. He's gonna find another team.
Oh, no doubt. He should go to Pittsburgh.
As long as he can bring in that bread, he's always gonna be in there. But in the event that anything changes, now that'll change the dynamic for her. I think it's a delicate situation, but also by him being who he is, I would believe that he has the right team in place legally to assist him. As far as, being, having joint custody with his children, not really having to pay any alimony because she does have her money too coming in. So, it's a different dynamic, from us regular guys. He's in those positions. He has people in his ear legally in the NFL that's saying, "Hey."
Well, let me ask you. I mean, even though, right? The system's not fair. He makes more money than she does, right? For right now, maybe she might make it longer because she's a singer. But right now, his bread is bigger than hers, I think, right? In terms of net worth. So if they were to split, she'll find a way to make, for her to try to maintain a lifestyle that they both have. Kind of, that would probably be more than her salary alone.
But that's where you have to learn the laws, though. Whatever, I'm
The
sure.
laws say whoever makes the most get their ass kicked. That's what it says.
But at the same time, I would believe that this guy would.
With no prenup, he goes by the. It doesn't matter what he has. The prenup,
I mean,
without a prenup, he goes by the state.
But she's made her money, and she's still continue to make money. Her lifestyle won't change if his money is not involved. She's going to still be able to make money.
That's not necessarily true, man. That's not necessarily true.
I mean, but we don't know that. We can say whatever.
Okay. So you don't think she's going to try? You don't think she's going to get away with taking him to the cleaner?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's fair.
But I hope they stay together, though. I don't want to see them split up. I would hope they stay together, regardless of.
Yeah, me too. You know what? I give her this. It seems like she actually likes him. But if it's a finesse, she's doing a pretty good job.
Of course, we won't know until they actually get finesse.
Hey, but let me tell you this: if for a woman with her figure, she don't have no trouble having children. Like Megan Good, for example, she didn't want to have any kids because she didn't want to mess up her figure. So she married this guy for 10 years, giving him this false hope that one day they'll have a kid. Then she decided, you know what? I'm not doing it. That's why they got a divorce. But here, man, Ciara just go ahead and pop them out, and she snaps back. Boom. She just snaps back.
You seen Ciara dance? Ciara's dancing probably more than most people exercise during the week.
Probably, yeah.
She can maintain that figure. Making good ain't dancing.
I don't. Trey Ferg, we know what you looking at. Let me call up your wife, man. You looking at Ciara? I haven't seen. Well, I don't. I don't watch Ciara's music, but she dances to everything she does.
Man, if you knew my wife, she might send me one that looked 10 times better than Ciara. Like, look at this. Like,
you know.
So.
But anyway, man, listen, I just thought I'd throw this up, man, just to get a different look at Russell. I thought it was a good interview. These guys over at the I Am Athlete, they do a decent job on certain things, and I thought this was a good one-on-one for folks to get a little insight on the man. I know it was good for PMU to come up here and throw a monkey wrench into the love fest and shit. We had a real love fest going on. You want to throw a monkey wrench on it. But I thought it was. I just think that to look at this guy, he's living a life with 4 kids. He's always with Future, who's the oldest of all the kids. So, and I think he's got the second. I think their second kid is a girl, and he's like maybe 3 or 4 years older than she is, or 2 years at least. Well, 3 years at least. So, I don't know, man. I God bless him, man. Shit, that's all I can say. God bless him. There's worse relationships to look at. No doubt about it.
Yes, sir. As long as if it can make us statistics go up, I'm all for it.
Me too. Right? Hopefully they stay married. So that's the real message that they're sending, that they're married. It's not, she ain't like Rihanna and just another baby mama or anybody else. They're married together. Whatever they're doing, they're married. And that matters. And so from that standpoint, they got to get a little bit of grace, I think, especially these days.
Yes.
So anyway, man, you got anything else? Any final thoughts? We don't have to stay up here that long. I appreciate the chat, man, going back and forth. And this, it'd be nice for you if you would have came up and gave us your 2 cents. You sure right about, but
I mean, this whole situation just plays into the dynamic of what we're facing out here. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't today. At least she understood, okay, I fucked up, and I'm still young enough to at least correct my wrong. Even though, she got into, what she did with, her boy Future, but she like, I fucked that up. Let me reverse course, get me a husband. And it's not like, it's one of those, I'm going to do as I want. Like, he understands the entertainment business. Because to me, she's only doing that when she's in the entertainment life.
What's up, Dre?
She's not, I don't see him going to the beach when she got all of the, I see it in the entertainment life that she's in. So, I don't know, man. It's a hard one, man. Hopefully she can change and start covering up a little bit as she gets older. Hopefully she sees that dynamic. And, they can go off into the sunset. But who knows, man? It's just everybody's opinion. So shit. Be married. Stay married till y'all both old and gray. And we'll still be talking about how fine Ciara used to be. and how
she's gonna be fine. She's gonna be fine for a long time. You know, it's as simple as that. But yeah, that's cool, man. We expect she stays in good shape. She looks good. He's handsome. So yeah, they make a good couple. Anyway, I don't have too much on other than I appreciate everybody coming up. You too, Trey Ferg. And hey, Black David, if you're out there, this is gonna be a short one. You can send us home. Good night, everyone. Take it easy.
Subscribe now.